Good afternoon. This is Ron Brown. It is April 2nd, 2023, Sunday afternoon. Just got back from a little short weekend trip, and I want to get out a very limited market report. Now, standard risk disclaimer, you've seen this many times. Any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. Now, I haven't done my weekend analysis, so I'm going to start from the beginning. I'll bring up HGSI. I'll click on the designer. I'll go to my market analysis user groups. I'll click on folder number 1. I'll click through to the warehouse. I will move up to the top-down process views for market analysis. I'll go to number 1. I'm sorted on raw combo, and I can see the Bitcoin Investment Trust led the way on Friday. Now, this is information from Friday. This is from last Monday morning, and this is the prior 5 days. This would be Friday to Friday. So you can see for the week that Bitcoin was up 4.7, or at least the trust was. Transports were up 5%. The small caps were up 2.9, 3.8% on the mid caps and so on. You can do this yourself and read it. The NASDAQ was up 3%. Now I'm going to focus on the NASDAQ like I normally do. I'll just double click on that, and then I'll go up to my market charts. I'll actually click on number 1B because it has the AD indicator in it, and let's just take a look at this. I was gone Friday, so I didn't see this happen. I did see the open. It was positive, and then I left shortly after that, and you can see what we ended up with is a candle that closed at 96.85% of its daily range, so very strong. Volume was heavier for a change. It was heavier on Thursday, and then Friday we had good volume. You can see advancers versus decliners were much stronger. If I hit my alternate I key, I need to get rid of this alternate I. It brings this window up, and I'll scroll down here. And you can see here the advancers over the decliners, 25.19 to 678. So a very strong day. Advancing volume versus declining volume, new highs versus new lows. And just looking down here, you can see that it looks like it's turned up on the advancing issues versus declining issues. We'll take a closer look at this with some other charts, but I want to point out that here was a test that we had a pullback, put the crosshair on with alternate C. You can see the pullback was on light volume test the following day, confirmation of that test on Wednesday. Thursday was a heavier volume day, an evening star formed, or a star, but that was totally ignored as buyers came into the market on Friday. Now let's go down to, or up to A. This shows the difference between the comp, the NASDAQ comp, and the S&P. With this line rising, it means the composite was outperforming the S&P. Now, if I go back to the warehouse view, let's look at this from the beginning of the week. Here's the comp. Here's the S&P 500 right here. Right here. It was up 2.8%, and the comp was up 3%, so that's why this is outperforming, or the blue line's going up. Okay, let's drop down to the new highs versus the new lows. You can see that the new highs actually surpassed the new lows on Friday, with the green line going up through the red line. The fan is taking shape. Here's the 200, the 100, the 50, and the 18. So the fan is actually up now. Let's go down to the next one, and you can see that the AD line has finally turned up for the NASDAQ. So as of now, and this is subject to change, as you know, the market looks very strong, especially with this buying coming into it on volume. So this is activity and demand. When you have demand like this with strong candles, that's very good. Let's take a quick look at Ian's chart, NASDAQ internals. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the NYSE internals. I grabbed the wrong chart. It's down here. Okay, and you can see that everything is green here also, including the percent AD, which means A accumulation, and everything, the force indexes, everything looks good. Let's hope it continues. Now I'm going to take a little different approach to it. I'm going to go into the indexes. So I'll just drop down to the HGSI major indexes and sectors, and I'll move down to the folder which says top-down scorecard views for HGSI index analysis. And look at all these positive numbers for both 1 day and for the week. A very strong week. Going to drop down to number 3, and this gives us advancing versus declining issues when sorted on raw combo. And you can see some of these numbers were very strong. 29 to 1 advancers over decliners with the industrials. S&P 400 385 to 15. Industries were 167 to 7. Small cap 553 to 24. Now these are stocks $5 and over, so they may not add up to a total of 600. But you can see that this was a 23 to 1 positive day on the 600. Well, the worst performer was the materials sector at 3.39 to 1. Financials are 3.49 to 1. And this is on Friday, of course. But you can go in here and look at these numbers, and you can see that the VPA volume, this was running all red, and a lot of these indexes are above average on Friday. Now what I like to do is I like to look at these visually, and I'm going to go to the S&P 1500 since it includes the 400, 600, and 500. I'll click on this, but now I'm going to switch into my HGSI charts, and right here, index charts. I'm going to look at number 5. This is a percent above the 20, 30, 50, and 200. And if I hit the alternate I key again, it brings this up, and I can put it over here at the side and see, since I'm on the last day, this tells me the percentage of stocks that are above the 20, 30, 50, and 200. And it's up to 75. And down here at the low, it was 6.27 above the 20. It's clear up to 75. Now, if you put your crosshair on and run it across here, you can see we're not quite up at that overbought level yet, but we're getting there. Now, here's compared to the 50. The percent is 36.1. Oh, I had to reposition my cursor. That's wrong. 54.32. If you move this cursor, it's going to reflect what happened on that day. I accidentally moved it off. So 54.32. You can see that right here. And above the 50. Only 39.14, and above the 200, 51.48, and you can see this is still below the red moving average line. Now I'm going to flip back to the warehouse view, and I'm in view number 3 now. I'm going to go to view number 1. I just want to point out that in view number 1 I have this information right here, so you can get a quick read on it in the warehouse view. The percent above the 20, 30, 50, and 200. That's the small caps. Let me find the S&P 1500 here. There it is, 75, 54, 39, and 51, which corresponds to what we have on the chart right here. So you can look at it either way. With so many stocks still below their 200-day moving average, that means if this market goes, there's still a long way to go to the upside if this market really continues with its current momentum. Okay, now let's go down to another chart. I'll go to 6A, and you can see that on the S&P 1500, on this day right here, there was a buy signal based upon at least 3-to-1 advancers over decliners and advancing volume over declining volume, and the others were green. So that is a tentative or a first buy, and then here's a confirmed buy on Friday where everything was above 5-to-1 on the advancers versus decliners and the advancing versus declining volume. So it looks really strong right now. Now look back here. Here was a low volume test on this day after these two down days. Low volume, and it closed near the high. Now I want to take a look at another chart. Let's look at the McClellan indicator. You can see that it's already up in the overbought position right here when you compare it to this area back here. So it may not be a good idea to do a lot of chasing right now. Every time it gets up in this area, it has pulled back right here, right here. Let me get this out of the way so you can see it. Got up here and it pulled back, got up to this area, went further, but then it rolled over. What happened here? Went a little higher and then went down. So we've gone from oversold down in this area to overbought. And this up here shows the index-based arms. If I bring this up, click on this, it tells me that the advancing issues swamp the declining issues with this red line shooting up like that. One more chart in here. I'm just going to drop down to number 11. This is something that I came up with. It's called accumulation acceleration. Now you can see that there was strong accumulation here with these green bars. We don't see them yet with the 1500, but I bet if I switch, wrong window, to the NASDAQ 100 right here, you can see all these strong accumulation bars starting right here, along with this effort to rise. These green bars, it went from D to C to A, and it was accelerating. That's what these lines right here tell me, the AD, the percent AD, and the acceleration, which generated these green bars. Now that's the NASDAQ 100, and that's where the strength has been in this market. Let's just bring the ranking module into play. And you can see the NASDAQ 100 is here. Let's see what I have this set on. Let's do a percent change for, let's see, I'll start with, we know what 1 week was looking at the warehouse. Let's do a 2 week to start with. And you can see over the past 2 weeks, the energy index led, followed by consumer discretion, materials, and technology. I'm going to extend this out to 3 weeks. And that puts the technology index at the top of the list, followed by communications and utilities. And look where the 2 week leader is, the energy index at 1.2, minus 1.2 compared to the technology up 9.858. And let's go back to 1 week where the current, which reflects the latest week, and that's the energy index. And I'm going to just change to the index group. You can see how quickly this comes up. Just click on your home key I'm sorry, I guess the home key doesn't do it. Yes, it does, except the home key on the keypad. So these are some of the stocks that had huge gains this week. I'm not familiar with any of these names. Let's just bring one up, and probably an inexpensive stock. Do my 1A here. Oh, you can see the gap up, and there was some supply coming into these on both days. But that's why there was such a big gap up on, why there was such a large percentage gain. Now this is interesting, looking at this chart. Look at all these accumulation days here. That is stopping volume. This is no demand. This is strength seen returning. No supply. Here's another supply, and I believe this is strength seen returning again, and then a gap up. But notice that it never did get down here to the stopping volume. Let me do that again. You can see it's stopping volume. Normally indicates end of bearishness is nearing. It never did challenge that again. So anybody who bought in here enjoyed this gap up and the subsequent day of gains. But this is an ugly chart. It would have been hard to go in here and buy. But putting the crosshair on, you can see that this, if you look back here, there was strength here, and it held, and it went up sharply. Okay, one more thing, and I'm going to end this. Now, if I want to look for energy stocks, since that's where the strength is, I'm going to go into the warehouse view. In this sector, I will go down to my standard charts, end of day, sorted on raw combo, which shows the stocks in demand in this sector. And there is a renewable energy equipment stock on top. Let's just bring a chart up of that. This is another loose, very loose chart, very tough to trade. But as of Friday, that's where the demand was. I want to point out again some of these VPA flags. I'll click on this. That's stopping volume. This is strength seen returning. This is a confirmation of that strength, and it went up for a few days, and then a lot of supply came into this. When you get these big moves, that there's going to be profit taking on them. So 2 days of fear, and then another low volume test. Volume is low, and it closes near the high. These two bars did not have VPA flag, but then there's strong buying here. It ended up about where it opened, and then strong buying again on Friday. So make use of these VPA flags. They're really a roadmap to what's happening. They don't always work. Nothing always works, but boy, they work better than just looking at standard indicators. I just want to point out here these two columns, the days since the 3 crossed the 6 and the days since the volume point of control turned positive. You can look at these and see how old these signals are. You can sort on here the ones with the oldest signals. Here's Brookfield Renewable. You can see that these, if I go down to the crossover days, you can see when it happened. Clear back here at the bottom, and that was 15 days ago, and the volume point of control turned positive right here on this day. So this must have ticked above and crossed over here. It did, and these columns give you that information about how old or how fresh the signals are. Now I'm going to leave it there. I just want to give you a quick market report, or just not only the market report. A lot of people give market reports. I just want to show you what you could do with the software. It gives us great insight into what's going on, and you don't really find this in any other software package, as far as I know. Thank you for listening, and I'll do another one.